Do you remember where you were on July 4th, 2019? I do, and so do a whole bunch of other geologists, because that was when there was a magnitude 6.4 earthquake in California, northeast of a place called Ridgecrest. So this star right here is marking where that earthquake happened. So this earthquake was felt across a broad area. This map right here is showing the distribution of shaking that was felt from that event. So after this earthquake, geologists rushed out to where the earthquake happened because it's really important for us to make scientific observations about how earthquakes impact the surface of the ground. We want to see how and if the ground broke, how much it moved, where it moved, if there were landslides that were generated, and also places that there may have been, say, liquefaction. That's where you have soft sand and soil and a high water table, and that causes the ground to act almost like quicksand during the seismic shaking. By recording these observations, we can make maps that tell us about where earthquakes could happen in the future. And all of this data gives us important information about what happened during this earthquake, and it helps us to understand all earthquakes a little bit better. So while everyone is out in the field collecting these really important observations, another earthquake happens. It was a magnitude 7.1 in the same area. Now, this was the largest earthquake to happen in California since the 1999 Hector mine earthquake, which was also a magnitude 7.1. It was felt across a really broad area. So Northern California, it was felt in Nevada, felt in Arizona, and unfortunately it did cause damage in the communities near the epicenter. You can see that star right there is marking where the 7.1 happened. Now, this is a really interesting picture because this is showing scientists that are at the California Earthquake Clearinghouse, which is like a location where a bunch of people can come together, scientists, emergency responders, the media, anybody that's interested in the earthquake can come together to talk about what's happening and sort of join together, work collaboratively. They're in there working and the earthquake hits. So they drop down to the ground, take cover underneath the conference table, and then hold on until the shaking has stopped. And that's what you're supposed to do when you feel earthquake shaking. So good job. Now, the scientists are out. Now they have 2 earthquakes that they're looking at the details on the ground, right? So they're looking at all of that. They made more than 6,000 observations on the ground, and this map is showing those different data points of observations that were made. Now, this has been used to help make a map that shows where the ground broke, and it also is giving us information about places maybe that we shouldn't build in the future, right? Because we don't want to put buildings on top of active faults, especially buildings that are intended for human occupancy. So that's really important. And that's one of the things that we can use to keep people that live in earthquake country safe. So anyway, the Ridgecrest earthquakes were really interesting events. You can see in the image behind me exactly where they broke the ground. So this is the fault map showing where there was motion on the ground from those earthquakes. Now, what's the lesson here? Earthquakes can happen at any time. At any time. 4th of July weekend. They can happen over Christmas. They can happen on your birthday. They can happen any old day. So it's always important to be prepared. And do like the folks did at the Earthquake Clearinghouse. When you feel earthquake shaking, drop down to the ground, take cover underneath a sturdy object, and hold on until all the shaking has stopped. Don't be scared. Be prepared.